Hey folks, this is Dana. Welcome to my incredibly messy shop. I'm going to be working on this today. It's a piece of maple. It was from a neighboring property that was being clear cut for a solar farm, and the owners gave me permission to go see what I could find that I could use. It's a good note, as always get permission before cutting anything if it's not on your property. It had some damage over the years. That part, I think, was the original trunk. I think it was growing like that, then got knocked over, and the roots came up from there. And this shank, the shank of it, I think was originally a branch. But, not entirely sure. That could just be a sucker came off that root there too. But anyways, and it has some damage down here where I'm pretty sure a buck was rubbing his antlers to get the velvet off them during the fall rut. But first step, of course, is taking the roots off, these little hair roots off with my pruners. Okay, got the small hair roots mostly gone. I'm gonna cut off some of these bigger roots. Just to get it into shape a little better. Okay, got most of the initial trimming done. That should make a nice sort of a natural crook. I'll probably I'm going to start filing this down so that it's in line. Most of that stuff will come right off. And I'm not sure. This punky material here, I'm not sure exactly what I can do with that. I have some wood hardener. It's like a polyurethane based product from Minwax, I think. I could dose it with that, or I could carve some of it out and fill it with something, which I'm thinking might be the way I'll go with it. Now I'm thinking I might take most of the back off the handle down to about here, because as much as I'd like to leave it, I think taking it off will show some really interesting swirls of grain where the roots were. And I really ought to take some of this out too, so it would fit in the hand a little better. Now most of the back I'll probably just sand down. That's what I usually do. Sand it down to the underbark, the cambium layer, which on maple, when you put the polyurethane finish on it, turns a really nice dark red. It looks really good, but we'll see how it goes. A good example of what I'm talking about with the color of the underback. That's another piece of maple I made into a little stick. It's just the gray outer back is sanded off and just polyurethane, and it turns that nice dark red color. Yeah, she's coming into shape pretty nicely. A little bit more I need to do, and the more I look at it, I haven't quite decided if I ought to take off that back or not. I'm gonna have to smooth it down either way because it's really rough right in here. Wouldn't make a comfortable handle if someone decided to use it as a cane. I would probably keep it walking stick size myself, and a nice crook stick is handy if you're out walking your dogs. You can steer them away from the deer poop or turkey poop or whatever kind of poop they're trying to get into. We've got 3 dogs, and that's the first thing they tend to head to. But I'll just keep whittling it. I'm back in the shop. It's been a few days. Been a little hot and muggy here lately, so been working on the overall shape of the handle. Been taking off most of the back. Probably won't take off quite all of it, not like in these little deep divots here. That's kind of hard to get to, so. But taking off the back will give the a grain a good chance to show, like this bit here where a root was. It'd be a nice little bit of grain swirling. And I'm thinking on the nose of the cane, I'm going to take it down in here and then round it off that way to look like what's called a nose out crook in the UK and Irish stick making style. This is the nose of the stick. This is usually referred to as the crown, and then the heel, and then the shank, of course, and the area in between. I've heard called the mouth, and I've heard it called the throat. Depends on what your source is, I guess. But you know, it's coming along. Now on this side of the handle, obviously because of the rot in the crown of it, I'm not going to be able to take off quite as much material. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with this. I can just soak it with wood hardener. I could carve it out, fill it with something else, or probably I can't see polyurethaning it just the way it is. Got to do something with it, but I'll figure that out eventually. Well, I gave it a good soak with some wood hardener, made by Minwax, and let it soak in, gave it a little more, let it soak in, just repeated that until it didn't seem to be taking any more. The overall shape's looking pretty good. It's what she looks like so far. I think that's going to be the basic shape. I'm just going to smooth it off some. Wood hardener stained back a little bit, but that's alright. I gotta give it some more sanding, well, some sanding and a little more filing and so on. It's the thing I like to do with root canes is remove enough wood so that it's a comfortable cane, but it also, you can still tell that it was a root at one point. It makes for definitely for a unique cane. I've been doing some sanding. One thing you occasionally will get on a root stick is little tiny stones. It's a little tiny piece of rock that the wood grew around while it was growing. But it's yeah, it's looking pretty nice. Some really interesting grain in it. And done a little sanding here. I'm gonna might have to resort to the Dremel to get really into that one. But that's, you can see the reddish, a little bit of green there too. You can see the reddish color coming out from under that gray back. But yeah, she's coming. And I think what I've decided to do in this area, I'm going to drill some small holes all along it, and then glue in some little offcuts of twigs, and then pack in some sawdust around the edges of it just to fill in the gaps, and then a good layer of polyurethane over the whole thing, and it should look pretty cool. I did that on a apple root cane a while ago. You can see pictures of it in my very first video. It's a slideshow, and turned out pretty nice. It's kind of inspired by a Canadian wood turner named Jim Sprague. Does some really amazing stuff, and when he has like a rotten spot in a bowl blank, he'll cut it out and do a stick infill, usually with resin. But I'll pop a link to his channel in the description, and definitely check him out. Does some really incredible stuff. Well, I've taken some more off it here and there. Worked on it with my small files, and it's come out pretty nice. Nice little root there. It's about this point I usually take it inside and where the light's better, and go over it with a pencil and mark any spots that need extra attention. I think there's a little divot right there I need to get rid of. Usually on the inside of the curves there'll be some pats that are harder to get to. But yeah, she's turning out pretty nice so far.